There are two kinds of blindness. The first one closes its eyes. The second one sees the truth and looks away anyway. One is ignorance, the other is tolerance. And if you've ever watched a lie grow legs or a wrong go unchallenged, then you already know. Ignorance may start the fire, but tolerance keeps it burning. Let's be honest. Humans don't destroy civilization with chaos. They do it with comfort. They see the cracks forming, they hear the gears grinding, and they say, not my problem. But every empire that rotted, every system that fell, every generation that lost its ways, didn't die from what they didn't know. They died from what they refused to confront. Willful ignorance is selfish, but tolerance of it, that's cowardice wrapped in courtesy. You have heard the phrase, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. Sounds wise, feels safe, but silence never saves the soul. It just buys time for the guilty. Willful ignorance says, I don't want to know. Tolerance says, I know, but I don't want the smoke. And the truth is, we don't tolerate ignorance because we agree with it. No, we don't. We tolerate it because it's easier than correcting it. It's cheaper than conflict. It's quieter than courage. But every time we let it slide, we let it spread. Every time we say, that's just how things are, we reinforce how things will stay. History doesn't remember the ignorant. It remembers the indifferent. The ones who knew, the ones who shrugged, the ones who kept clocking in at systems they swore they hated. It's one thing to not know. It's another thing to not want to know. Because once you see the truth, you inherit responsibility. You can't unsee injustice. You can't unhear a lie. You can't unlearn corruption. That's why ignorance feels safe. It's the illusion of innocence. If I don't know, I am not guilty. If I don't look, I am not accountable. If I don't speak, I am not involved. But make no mistake though, silence is participation. Inaction is endorsement. Tolerance is consent dressed as apathy. A man can't call himself righteous if he only tells the truth when it's trending. And here's the masculine reality. Leadership isn't about convenience. It's about confrontation. A man's role isn't to go along. It's to hold the line. Ignorance builds confusion. Tolerance builds culture. And culture is just collective habits that harden into laws. So if a society rewards lies, manipulate truth, celebrates mediocrity, or criminalize correction, it didn't happen overnight. It happened because too many saw it, sighed, and said nothing. That's how corruption thrives. Not through villains, but through spectators. How injustice spread is not through cruelty, but through cowardice. How stupidity goes viral, not through power, but through popularity. Because ignorance is contagious, but tolerance is fertilizer. You don't have to believe a lie to enable it. You just have to stop questioning the lie. Think of your workplace, your community, your politics, your family. How many moments have you watched something wrong? Not catastrophic, not headline worthy, but wrong. And you said, that's not my fight. You knew the truth. You saw the flaw. You even whispered it to yourself, but you didn't want the weight. That's tolerance. We tolerate ignorance when we confuse peace with avoidance. We call it choosing our battle. But some battle choose us. We call it staying in our lane, but some road leads straight to ruin. The cost of peace is honesty. The cost of silence is wrath. And don't get it twisted. Not every fight is yours, but every truth deserves a witness. You don't have to be loud. You just have to be loyal. Loyal to what's right. Loyal to integrity. Loyal to your conscience. Because if you keep quiet long enough, you will wake up one day and realize your silence became someone else's suffering. And that's the thing about tolerance. It disguises itself as kindness. You will hear people say, don't judge. But judgment isn't cruelty, it's discernment. Refusing to judge wrong is how wrong wins. You will stay out of it. But neutrality is still a stance. You are not outside. You are siding with the strongest voice. Even in your own life, right? Check it out. How many bad habits, toxic relationships, empty jobs, or shallow friendship have you tolerated in the name of not rocking the boat? Think about it. But here's the secret though. The boat was sinking anyway. Willful ignorance blinds the eyes. Tolerance of it breaks the backbone. Because when you stop calling things by their names, you lose the power to change them. Let's talk legacy for a minute. The men we remember weren't the quiet ones. They weren't the agreeable ones. They were the ones who said this is wrong and meant it, even if it caused them comfort, even if it caused them company. Comfort never built character. Conflict did. So which is worse though? Willful ignorance or tolerance of it? Willful ignorance poisons the mind. Tolerance poisons the culture. Ignorance spreads like virus. Tolerance turns it into policy. The first is the flaw. The second is a failure. Because ignorance can be cured with education. But tolerance of it, that's a disease of the soul. It's moral laziness, spiritual apathy dressed as wisdom. The generation that confuses politeness with progress will always choose silence over standard. But truth doesn't need fans, it needs fighters. It doesn't need applause, it needs alignment. And that is the mark of mature masculinity, choosing what's right over what's easy, what's clear over what's comfortable. So ask yourself, my G, how many lies are you tolerating at work, at home, in your mind? How many half-truths do you let pass because you don't want to argue? How many moments of silence did you label peace when it was really avoidance? Because every tolerated lie grows into tolerated life. And once you live long enough with tolerated lies, you forget what truth sounds like. You stop asking questions. You stop checking sources. You stop checking yourself. And soon enough, you will start calling ignorance wisdom and cowardice maturity. But wisdom isn't knowing everything. It's acknowledging the truth when it hurts. Maturity isn't tolerance. It's discernment. And courage isn't loud. It's loyal. So which is worst, my G? Willful ignorance or the tolerance of it? The answer is simple though. One refused to learn. The other refused to lead. And one day, both will look around and realize they have built a world full of things they couldn't stand, but choose to live with it anyway. Unless you really believe silence is peace and truth can survive without a voice. I'm out.